Married men, what's one thing you wish you could tell your wife, but won't because you know it will start a fight? I know you love your parents, but you should really tell them when you don't like stuff or don't want to do something. So we can stop eating meals and going to functions we don't want to go to. Learn to say no, or you don't like something. I get along with my in-laws. They are good people and I don't have a problem with them. With that being said, I don't want to spend every weekend with them. Before I met my wife, I spend most of my free time alone, and there's so many weekends where I literally don't want to leave the house or go see anyone. She knows I need my alone time and understands it. I just don't think she knows to the extent that it goes. My wife just recently asked me if we can stop going to my parents' house every Sunday for dinner and just go once a month. My whole extended family shows up every week. I was like, babe, why didn't you ask sooner? We now enjoy quieter Sundays where we can focus more on our kids, have an honest conversation with her, and come to a compromise where she doesn't feel like she is being withheld from her family, but you are having your needs met too. Relationships are all about good open communication. She needs to actually tell me what's wrong. We've had too many arguments about this. She just keeps things bottled up until she gets frustrated. I can't tell her because I have said this so much already and she just doesn't listen. Remember when you said, if I ever start acting like my mom, tell me? Oh boy, I learned that the hard way. She was being rhetorical when she said that to me. Who said it? A period. My mom said this to me once about my grandma. I reminded her constantly, of course, because I was a teenager. We are living beyond our means, so you can impress your friends and relatives who don't give a flying fuck. TBH, you should probably start that fight. Yup, it's going to happen sooner or later, and in this case, sooner is much better than later. The person she fell in love with isn't the person she wishes I was. This is difficult for her. Women marry men hoping they'll change, but they don't. Men marry women hoping they'll never change, but they do. I read that somewhere, and I don't know if it has any truth or is just sexist, but it does describe a lot of the marital suffering I've encountered secondhand. I'm sometimes afraid mine will change, and I don't want him to. I like him just the way he is, and I worry if we get married that like something hidden will finally unearth itself. Your family takes advantage of you because of your inability to say no. Guilt issues are real and debilitating. She can say no to me all day long. However, this blew up a bit. We've been together for almost 20 years and I never met her parents. They both passed in her early 20s, which is where the guilt, trauma, and FOMO comes from. It's the extended cousins, but she is getting there. Feel this. I don't want to hang out with your family every weekend because your parents have no hobbies or friends. I work 12-hour days every day during the week. I don't want to spend my weekend hearing family gossip. It's okay to apologize when you make a mistake or when you say something you don't mean. Being stubborn because you don't want to lose is actually a loss in the long run. There are a couple kinds of apologies worth knowing about. 1. I did this intentionally to hurt you. Sorry. 2. I did this intentionally but didn't mean to hurt you. Sorry. 3. I did this on accident but knew it would hurt you and should have been more careful. Sorry. 4. I did this on accident but knew it could hurt you and should have been more careful. Sorry. 5. I didn't do this, but you are hurt, and I'm sorry for that. I strongly dislike your dad when he drinks. I'd prefer not to be around him, and I don't want our daughter near him when he's drinking. As someone who was exposed to his alky grandfather as a child and has trauma from it, you should say or do something. Your dad is not a great guy who happened to have fucked up a few times. I've met the cunt. Have met many men like him, and know for a fact he's coasting through life on the goodwill of women who will forgive him. Dude, my wife idolizes her father, and every time she brings him up I think, you mean the guy who did this? Him? Are we talking about the same guy? Kinda more specific, and a bit of a secret, that I live with. Our first date was a concert, and we had our first kiss during a song. A few years later I proposed at the same band's show at the same venue as our first date. She has bought decor and themed our entire life over the song we had our first kiss to. Quotes of the song everywhere. Posters on wall. Everything, but that's not the actual song we had our first kiss to. She didn't know the band at the time we had our kiss and I just told her it was that song a few days later. The song is one they play at every show. Not the one we actually kissed during, which is moderately rare to be played. I know if I told her this, it would be a damn fight. It's a secret I'll live with forever. It's an amazing song and fits the theme of love far better than the actual song. And seeing her face every time they play it live is worth the secret. Honestly, it's close enough to the truth, isn't it? It's special to her and that's all that matters. Talking louder in an argument does not mean you're right. Guilty of this. You're right. Talking louder doesn't mean we win. Please chew quieter. This is something my wife would absolutely say about me. Is this you by any chance? She has misophonia. https://www.web.com/mentalhealth/what is misophonia added /r/misophonia may help better explain it from their point of view. I'm in this comment and I don't like it. The lip smacking sound is just too much. Not every fight has to burn the house down. Sometimes you can just move on from a minor inconvenience. I was like that in my 20s. I'm a woman, and it was because my relationship experience was minimal and my communication sucked. Everything he did was a reflection on me and everything we disagreed about was the end of the F world because I lived in a bubble. I was an idiot. If she's young, it might get better. I'm not trying to start a fight. Apostrophe. I said this to my wife on Saturday as a disclaimer and she immediately dropped her book and gave me the "what dumbass you got to say" look. Why lead with that? Then it automatically puts the idea of a fight in someone's head. Just say something like, "Hey babe, there's something I wanted to talk about when you get a chance. When's a good time?" If your brother doesn't move out, it will eventually lead to our divorce. You can't keep quiet about that. Let them know. I feel like everything I do is wrong to you. Apostrophe. My wife's brother was married to a woman like this. Every little thing he'd do, she'd criticize it. It wore him down. He finally dragged her to marriage counseling. She spent several sessions complaining to the counselor about all the things he does wrong. When the counselor finally turned to him and asked him about his concerns, she walked out and never returned. He divorced her and is finally happy again. Don't neglect your own mental health for the sake of the marriage. This reminds me of a newspaper comic I saw one time. It's a drawing of a guy who hung himself by the rafters. The wife has his suicide note in her hand and the caption is her saying, "You idiot. You misspelled constant criticism even in death." The poor guy couldn't escape it. You are very intelligent and are often right. But you need to learn to relent when you're not. The goal of an argument isn't winning. It's a solution. Edit. Damn. Thanks for the awards. Edit 2. Some people have pointed out that solution would have been a better choice of word than the original conclusion. So I adjusted it. Solid. When you win by a technicality it's okay. When I win by a technicality I'm a ass. That's not cool. If you're playing by technicalities you've got a bigger problem. Ironically her mother, who she looks up to, is the most toxic/stressful person in her life, not her bipolar sister. Her mother is hypercritical about everything and always turns everything into a negative despite having accomplished literally nothing in her life. I had to stop talking to my bestie of 20 years because she was becoming her mother. Hypercritical. Never wrong. Everyone else is stupid but her. It sucks. When I get home from work and spend 10 minutes sitting silently in the car before I come inside, that isn't a personal slight against you. That's part of my routine that existed years before I had any wife or kids at home, even when I lived alone. And it helps me reset my brain energy before fully transitioning from work mode to life mode. And it contributes well to my stress management and mental health. And I don't want to give it up just because you're too offended to make an effort to see my point of view. Actually, maybe I will tell her this. I think the important thing for a lot of partners to realize is the commute is part of the workday. It's not a break. The same goes from working from home. It's still work. It's not a day off where things can get done around the house. Mow the lawn, do the laundry, and clean up the kitchen aren't on my task list until after 5 p.m. I see you crack eggs and wipe your hands on the hand drying towel. Clean up your damn mess. Stop leaving it for me. I cook, you clean. Okay, fair enough rule. But when I cook, I'm washing stuff out, wiping down counters, rinsing hot pots, choppings and wrappers going into trash bowls. Really the only things being cleaned up at the end are the last couple things used, and the things we ate with. Meanwhile, after she cooks, everything just gets tossed in the sink. Everything is dried up and baked on. Splatters and grease everywhere. It's like night and day. But the last thing I want is a conversation about micromanagement. This hits home so hard. My girlfriend is a great cook, but when she's done, it looks like a tornado hit. Food all over the floor, counters, cabinets, stove, food in the sink. I'm nowhere near as good of a cook, but when I do, I'm cleaning as I go and trying to be as neat as possible. If I spoke to you even half the way you speak to me, there would be no relationship. You need to learn to control your feelings and stop being so combative about everything. Relatable. Edit. I just can't find a way to address this without getting my head torn off. I don't process the emotions of others all that well, and when she ramps up the conversational combat, I can't even think straight. Look man, obviously I don't know your situation, but if it's really that bad you gotta consider if it's worth walking on eggshells constantly for the rest of your life. Quit drinking every day. It's a poor example to our kids. It's draining our accounts. It's terrible for your health. And it's destroying our marriage. I have told her this. Just doesn't stick. And usually causes a fight. Edit. Holy smokes. Did not expect so much response and support. Thanks everyone. Will for sure look into Eleanor. She acts exactly like the family member that she despises. I am not my mother. My mom says that when she starts to act like her mother we can kill her. My mom used to say the same. But now her shriveled Corsacoff brain can't comprehend that she has become her mother to a shocking degree. It's really very sad. Your friend is a piece of S for switching on you. As soon as the business started making money, you helped her and did more than you should have been doing as a business partner. I know he's hard for you, but there is no way you should be even communicating with her after that. And don't even try to bring my kid around her. F that. I'm all for forgiveness but not forgetting.